Okay, so today we are starting with the chapter 29, that is transformation of sentences. Means to change the form of the sentence from one form to the other without changing the meaning of the sentence. The meaning that you can derive from the sentence will remain the same, but the way we are speaking or we are writing the sentence will change. Some words will be placed here and there, and all those kind of things. This you must have learned previously while you learned active and passive form, while you learned the direct and the indirect speech in your previous classes, and recently in the past class where we were discussing about the simple, complex and compound sentence. There also in the last class I gave you an example that the same sentence was written in the form of simple sentence, the compound sentence and the complex sentence, but the meaning of that you can derive from all those three sentences was the same. So this is called the transformation of the sentence. For example, if we talk about the active and passive voice, the sentence is he gave me a pen. This is active voice. Now, if we will change this sentence into the passive voice, we will write a pen was given to me by him. A pen was given to me by him. This is the passive voice. What is the difference between the two? In the active voice, the subject and the object. When we write the sentence in the passive voice, the object becomes the subject and the subject becomes the object of the sentence. And here we do not change the tense. So this is the way we change an active sentence, a sentence in active voice into a sentence in passive voice. Now here if you read both of these sentences, you can very well understand what is the meaning of the two sentences. And here the meaning is not changing. The meaning that you are deriving from both the sentences is the same. So this is active voice and passive voice. Next, let's take the example of direct and indirect speech. He said, I am not free. So, you know that when we are using this inverted comma, this means this is direct speech. And when we have to write the same sentence in the indirect speech, how we will write it? He said that we will add, when we will remove the inverted commas, we will add that. Sometimes it is not written, it is understood. But to make it clear, it's better you write it here. He was not free. And when we will write the sentence in the indirect speech, we will remove the inverted commas. So this is the sentence in indirect speech. Okay. Now, the third thing that we have already learned is about the simple, complex and the compound sentence. I'm taking the same example so that you can revise or you can recall what we have discussed. See, seeing the wolf, the boy ran away. This is the simple sentence. This is non-finite verb. This is finite verb. And on the basis of this finite verb, we can determine this is the simple sentence. Now, the next that we have learned was the complex. Here in this, what is the requirement for the simple sentence? Finite verb and the subject. And the sentence can be the main clause. Next, what we have learned is the complex. There must be one main clause and one or more subordinate clause. So, how we will write the same sentence in the form of complex sentence? When the boy saw the wolf, he ran away. Now, this is complex. This one, he ran away, is itself a complete sentence. That's why this is the main clause. And when the boy saw the wolf, here this is the subordinate clause because this particular part of sentence demands something else to complete the meaning of the sentence. So this is the complex. Now the same sentence in the form of compound sentence. The boy saw the wolf and ran away. This is compound sentence. Why it is a compound sentence? The boy saw the wolf is the main clause. One main clause of the sentence and ran away is the second main clause of the sentence. Here, when we are using the two main clauses in the same sentence, we do not repeat the subject. So subject here, the boy is the subject and it is understood here. And that's why this is the compound sentence. So now in these three examples where we have used the active and passive voice and we have used the direct and the indirect speech and the simple, complex and compound sentences, we have seen that how we can change one sentence into the other without changing the meaning of the sentence. Okay. Now, apart from these, there are some more ways in which we can change the sentence from one form to the other form. And what are those ways? So, first we will discuss about the degree of comparison. When we change the sentence on the basis of degree of comparison, that is called interchange of the degree of comparison. Interchange of the degree of comparison. Now, what are the degrees of comparison? All of you must have learned these things in your previous classes. The three degrees. Where we have the degrees? We have the degrees for the adjectives. So, all of you must have learned good, better, best, much, more, most. All of you must have learned these things. So what are the degrees? The first, this is called positive. Okay. Now the second one, this one is called comparative. And the third one, this one is called superlative. Three forms basically of the same adjective. Good means you are appreciating something. There is something positive about it. That's why we call it positive. Now, what is comparative? Comparative is when you are comparing something. He is taller than me. I'm shorter than him. So, wherever you are comparing the two things, then we will use this form. That's why it is known as the comparative. And the last one is the superlative. What does it mean? Superlative means whenever you are talking about something which is most excellent, means best. If we are talking about the best, there can be one thing only. Okay. So, or if we are talking about the most, means suppose the most favorite book, so you will tell me the book, the name of one book only. So whenever we are talking about the superlative, we will talk about one thing only, and that is why, means that thing will be particular. So that is why we have also learned that whenever we are using the superlative degree of the adjective, we use the article. This is used before any of the superlative degree of the adjective. So now here when we will learn about the interchange of the degree of comparison, means we have to change the sentence from one degree to the other. The sentence in which the positive degree will be used, we will change into the comparative, or we will change it into the superlative. Basically, the terms that we will use here will be changed, but the meaning of the sentence will not change. Let's take an example so that you can understand this thing. And you can very easily identify this thing on the basis of the term used. If in the sentence it is written tall, that means it is positive. If it is written taller, that means it is comparative. And if it is written tallest, that means it is the superlative. Okay. So, first let's take the example. Positive. I am as tall as you. I am as tall as you. Means the height, your height and my height is almost equal. So we have used the word tall here. That is why it is the positive. Now if I'll change into the comparative, so it will be you are not taller than me. You are not taller than me. Now here the taller is showing that we are comparing two things. Whenever there will be a comparison, there must be two things. Then only comparison is possible. And you must have learned this also, that whenever we are using the comparison, this than term is used in the sentence to compare the two things. So this is how here we use the positive form, here we use the comparative form, but the meaning of both the sentences is the same. Now let's take another example where we can also use the superlative. So first we will start with the superlative. India is the largest democracy in the world. India is the largest democracy in the world. Largest. This is the superlative degree of large. Large, larger, largest. So that's why this is the superlative. Now if we will write it into the form of comparative, in the form of comparative, no other democracy in the world, sorry, this will be the positive. No other democracy in the world is as large as India. And when we will have to change it into the comparative, it will be India is larger than any other democracy in the world. Now largest, large and larger. All the three degrees of the adjective are used in this sentence, but the meaning that we can derive from all these three sentences is the same. So this is the way we can change the sentence from one form to the other.